how to stop living on autopilot. Have you ever driven in your car and arrived at a destination or found yourself on a way to a destination that wasn't your original intention? Like after work, you can be on your way headed home, but you forgot you were supposed to stop at a grocery store. Has that ever happened to you? That happened, that used to happen to me all the time. Um, There were times when I just confirmed with someone right before I left work, oh, yeah, we have an event or something like that. I'll be there. But because it's outside of the normal routine, once I got in the car, I would zone out and just drive. And it's like my car would take me on autopilot directly home. So there'd be times when I would wake up to reality. I wasn't sleeping, I was awake, but somehow I don't remember the drive. I must have did it successfully because I was home, but I don't remember the actual drive. Has anything like that actually happened to you? That's your mind working on autopilot. And it's actually quite a miraculous thing. Our minds have the ability to work on autopilot, to be able to get from one place to another place. Or to do things. And I'd like to explain a little bit about how your mind actually uses autopilot and how autopilot actually works. So, your mind has two parts to it, the conscious and the subconscious. You yourself are the conscious person, you're the executive. But your mind has a subconscious part, which is a computer system or like an artificial intelligence. And so your artificial intelligence or computer system actually runs most things day to day, most of the functions that you don't think about. But it has the ability to really run your whole day just about if you're on autopilot. And the way that it learns to run things throughout your day is based on what you do repetitively. Again, your autopilot is programmed based on repetition. So if there's anything you do repetitively, your subconscious now knows how to do that. For instance, if you walk repetitively, your subconscious can walk so that you don't actually remember having to take one step after another step after another step. If you jog or run, if you drive a car, operate a vehicle, operate machinery on a regular basis, your subconscious actually learns it so that you don't have to consciously think the way you did when you were first learning it. Do you remember when you were first learning, for instance, to operate a vehicle or another piece of machinery? At first, it's like, okay, wait, what do I do? And what does this do? And how does this work? And it was awkward and kind of clunky, and you had to really focus. Well, whether you remember that or not, your subconscious picked up what you did on repetition, and then it learned how to do that for you. So now you don't even have to think while you're doing it. And that's what happens with driving home for many of us because we have a routine, certain time of day, you get off work, you go home, your mind just automatically goes there. And so you might forget that you're supposed to consciously or intentionally make a different turn, go a different direction because your mind is on autopilot. Even if you do something like shoot hoops, play basketball, roller skate, if you do it repetitively, your subconscious mind picks it up and it can run those functions on autopilot. This is an amazing function. It's a really amazing function because it allows us, the conscious person, to disengage from tasks that are routine or mundane, which allows us to be free to create and to think about things that are more interesting to us or listen to music or a podcast, something entertaining and engaging to be able to learn new things. This is a great tool. But what can happen to us is we can become too used to the routines and too used to the autopilot, and we forget to live consciously. And if you don't live consciously, then the learner is not guiding, the creator is not guiding the creative part of you. That is, you are no longer being the executive of the self. You become like a passenger in your own body. And this is especially the case for many trauma survivors who feel a constant sense of fear guiding them. The reason why they go to work is because they're afraid not to or to upset their employer. The reason why they go home is because they're afraid to be out. The reason why they do everything is because they're afraid. So it becomes feelings and emotions managing their entire life. The feelings and emotions are created by the subconscious perceptions, which is again the subconscious mind, that computer system. So you have the computer system using routine and repetition to decide what it should do, perceiving things, and then giving you emotions. If you allow those emotions to guide what you're going to do and guide how you make decisions, you are running your whole life on autopilot. And you're actually sacrificing your freedom. You're giving up your autonomy to your subconscious mind. And a lot of people feel like they don't have a choice. In fact, even some scientists will argue foolishly that we don't have free will. And they get on the internet and tell people we don't have free will. It's not true, but it feels that way. The sensation of living your life according to your feelings makes you feel as if you don't have free will. It would appear that humans are just fleeing from pain and pursuing pleasure. But we are actually a lot more complicated than that. We actually have the ability to um, delay gratification and delay pleasure, right? Have you ever done that before? Have you ever decided that you would not do the thing that was pleasurable or obvious, but that you would take the pain? Maybe you had something you believed in, a political cause, right? Many people have gone to jail for a belief, could be a religious belief. So we're not so simple. We do have free will. We don't always just avoid the pain and pursue the pleasure. So you have to make sure you're living according to your free will and your conscious mind instead of just living on autopilot, allowing your emotions and your subconscious perceptions to drive you. When you respond to stress, fear, outside demands rather than intentionally creating your life and values, you're on autopilot. If you're making choices based on fear or routine, you're on autopilot. If you're feeling exhausted, resentful, unfulfilled, you're on autopilot. If you're constantly feeling lonely, not good enough, not wanted, not lovable, you're on autopilot. If you're constantly multitasking without joy or presence, you might be on autopilot. So what do we got to do about the situation? You're allowing your computer system to run your entire life. So we need a mindset shift or maybe a reboot of that system, right? And so we have to train that system to allow us to intervene, jump in as the conscious self. You, the conscious being, is so profound, I couldn't explain it in this one talk. You have the ability to create, to decide, to delay gratification, to build something, to pursue purpose. You're intelligent. You're wise. You give people good advice. You, the conscious being, are the wisest part of the self. You need to be leading your life. You need to be leading your life. So the mindset shift is to ask yourself questions such as, what do I want to create today? What will I do today that will further me in my purpose? This is a question that we want to ask basically on an everyday basis. What will I do today? What will I choose to do to further me in my purpose? Make sure you're going to write down on your list of things to do at least one thing every single day that furthers you on your purpose. Every day, 7 days a week, do something that furthers you on your purpose. What do I mean by purpose? A purpose is a goal that you set out for yourself. When I was a kid, my dad built a clubhouse in our backyard. It was the coolest thing I had ever seen. And he had me help him. So I worked alongside my dad like a little assistant And I was around 10 years old, and he would go to the hardware store and he would buy plywood and two by fours. And he showed me step by step how to build a house. He built a frame for the house the way you would in any normal construction project, putting the two by fours 12 to 16 inches apart and using the proper brackets to connect the two by fours at right angles. And then he used plywood as the outside wall of the clubhouse. And then we painted it on the outside with a water retardant paint. And then he ran electrical. That had to be illegal. He, he buried a wire that went from our house. He was a low voltage electrician. Those blue collar workers, man, they're tradesmen. They know how to make things, how to build things. So we buried a wire going from the house to the clubhouse so that my clubhouse had light switches that worked, that turned on an outside light and an inside light. I put a television in there. Um, I had bean bags in there. You know what I'm saying? We laid carpet down. They had little crank out windows. This thing was sophisticated. Aren't I glad that my father didn't decide to clonk out on his purpose and say, hmm, I do enough. I come home every night. I work hard. That's all I'm going to do. And he just watch TV every night. But instead, he set a goal. That's purpose. That's purpose. For me, it made an impact as his child to be able to watch him build something with his hands that he didn't have to build, but that he wanted to build. That's free will. Make sure you're setting that same example for your children. They need to see you do something that you want to do. That's beyond what you have to do. That's beyond just trying to survive. That's beyond just doing the bare minimum. That's purpose. Setting a goal for yourself. That's beyond the bare minimum. Building something that takes time. That took time. We had to lay a foundation. We laid a concrete foundation down for this thing. It was step by step. It was a process. There was always the next thing that we needed to do. It's exciting, but it takes time. Build something, create something. It could be your business. It could be your podcast. It could be your TikTok page. Build something, create something. Every day, another step towards it. In order to get out of autopilot mode, you got to stop living in what the feels are, what the impulses are. Oh, I think I'll just do this right now. I think I'll just do that right now. Oh, I have to do this. I have to do that. Stop with all the have tos. That triggers our PDA, our pathological demand avoidance, because when you feel like you have to do something, then you don't want to do it, right? I have to do the dishes. Oh, I'll do them later because you triggered your pathological demand avoidance by saying I have to. The semantics matter. So instead, you got to switch that framing and say, this is something that could get done. This is something that's important. I have a request coming in from the conscious self. Would I like to do the dishes? And then you answer the question according to conscious reasoning. Well, I feel this way, but I'm taking that into consideration and how I'll feel later and about how much time I have. And I think I will wash the dishes this time. Should we really put that much thought into something as simple as washing the dishes? Yeah, if you want to get out of autopilot, because otherwise you're either avoiding it all day and then you feel bad and then because you procrastinated and then you beat yourself up and you're just in this toxic cycle. Or you're just doing stuff until you exhaust yourself because you're running around just constantly feeling obligated. You're not free. You're like a slave. Let's get out of autopilot mode. Let's get into conscious reasoning. Stop and ask yourself, what do I want to do? What is one thing that I'm doing toward my purpose today? I don't have to do anything. How can I rephrase these obligations? so that I see them as requests. This way, we're replacing unconscious reactions with conscious pauses. So there we have our tools, the rule of 7 seconds. You guys know that one? Rule of 7 seconds dictates that we pause for 5 to 7 seconds before making a decision or a reply. Give yourself 7 seconds. Why is this scientific? Because your subconscious mind responds in 1/12 of a second to stimuli. It's automatic. But if you pause throughout your day, 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, something really amazing starts to happen. This old dinosaur of a brain starts to boot up. Next thing you know, you're cooking with oil. You see, when your cerebral cortex, which is the beautiful canopy of the brain, is going, when it's activated, it starts making very wise, very sophisticated decisions. But when you just react to everything without any pause, you make a fool of yourself. You make a fool of yourself. Yeah. We become, or the jump scare. Everything is just, we're like the squirrel. So 5 to 7 seconds. Then you don't say yes when you really meant no, and you don't say no when you really meant yes. You don't sabotage your relationships. 5 to 7 seconds, that's all it takes. Give yourself a chance to be successful. We also have the tool stop. This will help you to deactivate autopilot and get into your conscious mind. You have to memorize stillness, thoughtfulness, observance, patience, STOP. Stillness, thoughtfulness, observance, patience. Memorize it right now. Stillness, thoughtfulness, observance, patience. To be still means I don't move the body. If I don't move the body, then I don't have to worry that I'm going to punch someone in the face. We don't want to respond to that first impulse. The first impulse is going to be to curse someone out, punch someone in the face, to freeze, fight, flight, or fawn. We don't want to do that. To fawn, by the way, is people pleasing, usually. So stillness just means I keep my physical body still, including my tongue. I can blink, I can breathe, and that's it. That's what it looks like. That's what stillness looks like. Thoughtfulness is that after 5 to 7 seconds, that cerebral cortex starts getting fired up and you start analyzing things. What do I need to do today? What is important to me? What am I doing toward my purpose? What does this person mean by this? What might they be feeling? What am I feeling? What are these feelings? Why do I have these feelings? What's going to be the best outcome? Let me future model, which means you play a little story like a visual, a movie in your head of what would happen if I do this, what would probably happen if I did that, right? Not just the negative, but you're actually looking for the future model that will be the best action to take moving forward. That's thoughtfulness. Now we're going to have a wise response. Then we want to be observant. Observance means to pay attention to your actual surroundings. What time is it? What day is it? What year is it? This keeps us from going into emotional flashbacks. A lot of us go back, we visit our parents, they say two things, and we're back being a teenager again. Mom, mom, you never blah, blah, blah. Observance, observance. The year's 2025. I have my own car. I have my own house. I can leave anytime. She's always been this way. Observe the actual reality that you're in. Observance is extremely important. Pay attention. You don't need to revert back to your old self. And then finally, patience. Patience is what? Your ability to withstand suffering or discomfort without becoming irritated. It's your ability to suffer without getting mad. That's patience. Patience. Now, when you run through STOP, stillness, thoughtfulness, observance, patience, you're in the conscious mind now. Now you're acting as your higher self. Have you ever seen someone that was very wise, very slow about speaking, very patient? They didn't get angry quickly. Didn't you admire them so much? Well, some of us have never seen an example like that, but we have to become that example. It is so admirable when a person controls themselves. So that's what you need to do. Be still, be thoughtful, be observant, be patient. Even reflecting for one moment can help us to choose intention over reaction. So keep in mind, you're not the passenger in your life, okay? You're the driver. And be the first or make sure you wake up to the actual road that you're on. Don't be like me, who's driving on autopilot, can't even remember the trip, and just ends up somewhere. Give yourself that opportunity to wake up. How do we do that? Pause, 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 meditate. STOP. Stillness, thoughtfulness, observance, patience, rule of 7 seconds. This is what's going to wake us up. Ask yourself important questions. What am I doing toward my purpose today? Even on a busy day, there's something you can do toward your purpose. I heard a quote, a woman said, healing is an act of defiance. I like that. Actually, defiance is kind of what gets deactivated in a lot of trauma survivors. They don't know when they're supposed to be getting angry. So they kind of get angry at the wrong times and then they suppress their anger when they should get angry. Summon your defiance. Healing is an act of defiance. So if you want to get out of autopilot, you have to be defiant against it. You have to say, hey, no, I don't care that I'm busy today. I don't care that there's a lot of things and a lot of pressures, and that my kids need me here and that my spouse needs me here. I'm going to make sure I get something in for me toward my purpose so that you're building every day, laying another brick down toward everything you want.